Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Today, or in the next couple of hours, or tomorrow, whenever it is, Yunus Akgun Sam has gone for a medical today. We don't know if it's fully confirmed, but he has gone for a medical today, so it could be announced within the next few hours or even tomorrow. But it looks like he's going to be a new Leicester player on loan for this year. What's your kind of take on this? Because like you said, Tete is basically done the reverse switching on from us to them. So what do you make of this signing?
It's a weird one. I'm not going to judge before we see. But it is a bit of a... We had Tete on loan last season in the Premier League, and now we've dropped down a level. We're getting Akgun from Galatasaray, which ironically Tete's just gone to, and looks like he's replacing Akgun. So it's a weird one, but I hope he does well. I think we know that Enzo's come out and said Marcel isn't going to be the week in, week out right winger for us. Maybe that's due to experience, quality. Who knows? I thought he had quite a good game against, who did we just play? Cardiff. In the end, obviously got a nice goal, and I thought he looked pretty decent. But I think maybe we are looking a bit more for quality, experience, just to maybe a bit more of a track backing right winger. So who really knows? But we have seen in the past that right wingers have been really our weak point. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't think we've really replaced Riyad Mahrez, and that we're talking about 5-6 years ago now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I say, Tete was brilliant for his first game and then just died off. This one for me, and as much as I don't want to be saying it, seems like an under sort of situation where we brought someone like Under in. We had a bit of hope for him and he did nothing. And because it's for a year, in my eyes, I just feel like he won't be as impactful as I think we want him to be because he's not joined permanently. But then, like Curtis says, you do have an option to buy.
It's a weird one. It's not just an option to buy. I believe it's going to be if he plays in 25 matches this season for us, we have no choice but to have to buy him for 10 million euros, I believe is the price tag, either euros or pounds. I think it was euros. So probably roughly around 7.5, 8 million pounds. But we have to sign him if we do play him in 25 games. I assume that means if he features in 25 games, not just minutes. I assume if he comes in off the bench for the last 5 minutes, that's an appearance cap. And yeah, 25 appearances isn't a lot really, but I think it's a weird one because we do need a right winger in the club. And if we bring him in, I think there's enough depth now with Marcel and him. And McAteer, I've not seen McAteer in the last few weeks. I can only assume he's injured. Yeah. Not really heard much on it. But I think it is a bit of a weird deal. Like I said, really, the right winging spots, ever since it's kind of been cursed ever since Mahrez has left. We've never really found a strong replacement. We thought Tete might have been a decent loanee for the last 8, 9, 10 games of the season last year. But lo and behold, he had one good game and didn't do anything. Obviously, we've seen the likes of Under coming on loan, like quite a bit similar to Tete. He's had a couple moments of good, but apart from that, nothing. Gazelle coming in. What was that French one we signed as well under Puel? I forgot his name. Diabate as well. We thought he'd come in and be a wonder kid. Nothing. So it's a weird one. Obviously, he's a bit more experienced. I think he's pushing 23, 24 now. So a loan deal from Galatasaray. I mean, it's a weird one because, like I said, Tete's done the swap with him. So what does that really say about our business? Is it a bit more of he's the only one available for us because we don't have any money to really pay for someone due to players still being in the club that we've heard, Dak, Samari, Castagna. What do you make to that?
It's so weird. It's just such a weird situation because for me, you've just got to back Enzo and think he's obviously brought this guy in for a reason. I don't think Enzo had any choice in what Tete was doing. He had to go because he just didn't want to. He didn't play for us, so he was gone. And someone like Akgun could be the replacement for where Marcel has been filling in because I don't think Marcel or McAteer or even Brighton are suited for that role in this style.
I think they're going to be very rotational, but because of the way the deal is, if it is the 25 games we have to pay the money, I don't think we're going to see him feature in every game. I think you might see him start the next 3, 4, 5, 6 games worth, and if he's really not showing his qualities, we might go back to Marcel or McAteer. And if you ask me, I don't think they've done much wrong. I think they are just lacking maybe a bit of professional game time. But, you only get that by playing, really. And to be honest with you, I think both McAteer and Marcel looked pretty decent. And Championship is probably, I've got to remember, these youth academy players have been growing up in the Premier League youth academy. So they're used to that kind of style of football, playing the teams around them, And I know that it's different leagues and that, but they have had Premier League, I guess the Premier League academy growing up for them. So you'd like to think that they would come in and, this is McAteer and Marcel, you'd like to think they would come in and actually be pretty decent. So in my eyes, it's a weird one. I'm not going to judge before, we've seen him play, but maybe a bit more of a experienced player in the Championship would have suited us a bit better, but who knows?
This Facebook user says 25 games is enough to see if he's good enough. If not, we play from 24 and let him run.
Yeah, I think I'm just a bit more concerned about if he comes on off the bench, maybe, and that counts as an appearance, so you don't really see much. If you only came on, say, for 10, 20 minutes, you kind of have to play him for the full 90 to see how good he is and to get your money's worth almost. But if he's not good enough, then it's not really going to... It's kind of he has to be good for the 25 games to really be beneficial.
Yeah, again, I think it's going to be... As much as I don't want it to be the likes of Under, the Tete, the Gazelle sort of signing, we've had so much bad history with this sort of player. We just don't want it to see it happen for like a third or fourth time in a row.
I think that is a bit of the issue, isn't it? The right wing spot, we've never really
replaced Mahrez.
Replaced Mahrez. We've had Albrighton, who has done a very good job there, but even in the title-winning season, a couple of years after that, Mahrez was always the number one option. Albrighton was a solid position. I think did Albrighton play behind Mahrez at times, didn't he? I think Mahrez was.
He was on the left.
Was he on the left?
Played on the left.
So I get confused. It was a few years ago now when we've seen Mahrez play, but hopefully he can come in and see a comment earlier. There you go, Curtis. Let go up a couple more. There you go. Joel Pios, yeah. So that is one we have missed out on, unfortunately. Really, I just want to point out a little bit. What do you make if he's gone to Leeds? We definitely could have signed him.
I think we probably could have signed him, but I feel like, I'm totally honest, I don't think we wanted to get him. I don't think we did. I think if we wanted him, we would have been in the talks with him. It's all because we've not got him. It doesn't mean we didn't want it. We didn't get him because we couldn't have done it.
I think that the issue of him is we don't have the money. Again, I think that's why you see someone like Atkins coming on loan. I don't think we have the actual money to buy these players.
Well, we've already said that we haven't. And they said we've got to get people out the door before we get anyone in there.
As of today, I'm just looking at the date. It's the 25th of August. The transfer closes a week today, 11 o'clock. So I think we have just over a week and a few hours until the window does close. I think it's going to be very busy for us because I do think we're going to see a lot of these players go. And again, I think we should hopefully have players lined up. I hope we're not selling before we're looking to buy. I hope we do have an option ready for someone like Daka to have his replacement come in, or Samari, just because I think we do. I think we especially need a new striker as a backup, because if Iheanacho is probably going to be the first one on the pitch. Vardy's going to be playing behind him in the last 20-30 minutes. But if one of those gets injured, you do think we need a new, striker to back up the backup almost.
Not other than Daka, but
well, yeah, Daka's not good, is he? So.
Ben Morgan says Mavadidi's the best left winger since Lloyd Dyer, so he's kind of writing Barnes off completely. But Matty says don't judge Under. Rodgers had his favourites and never gave him a chance. He's a quality winger.
Don't judge Under.
Well, either way, again, from what we've seen for Leicester, every single right winger we've had since we brought someone in, we always wanted them to turn up and be someone who we've never had other than Mahrez, and they've not done it. So, again, it just feels like, I hope not, but it just feels like it could be another of these failed right wingers that just won't get into this side. You never know, could score 20 goals this season.
It is a weird one. We've not really signed a proven right winger in a long time. And Mahrez was nowhere near signed to be a proven right winger. He was the complete opposite. Well, I don't know, a few hundred grand. I say a few hundred grand. In football terms, not a lot of money, and it probably has been one of the best Premier League right wingers in the past 10 years. So it is a weird one because we do need. And I just go up to the Facebook user comment. I don't know who it is, but Lookman was decent. I think that's when we missed out on massively, really. I think Lookman would have been, and when he did play, was actually the best right winger we've seen in a very long time at the club, and we let that one slip through the fingers a bit.
Problem is for me, I think he played better on the left, but he couldn't get in on the left because of a certain Harvey Barnes. So again, when he came on against Liverpool, I think it was late on, and he scored there to win the game. This is one player that I feel like we did miss out on. But people could say when we missed out on, like, so Pope or other players at the start of the window last year, it wasn't about us missing out. It's because we just didn't have the money to pay for it. It was 14 million. We just didn't have the money to do it. We couldn't have anyone to.
I think we had the money. It was just due to FFP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had to sell for Fofana.
Every club has money in the kitty, you know. We've got the money to sign these players, but because of the players, we've got too big of a squad on too much money. It's, like I said, I keep bringing Daka. I could probably name 5 or 6 players: Daka, Samari, Suter, Castagna, Christensen. He looks like he's going to be off on loan to Bosnia very soon. We've seen Fabrizio tweet it, and he looks like he is going to go with an option to buy at the end of the season. We're trying to get these players off the wage bill, and it is just one of those things where I think, because I saw earlier that we want 20-odd million for Castagna, and I'm a bit concerned who's going to pay 20 million for a player who's just got relegated. I think he's a good right-back option, solid in the Premier League, but I don't know if he's 20 million worth for someone like Fulham, Castagna. And I think we're trying to, because we knew he wanted to go from day one, and we're trying to hold out for a decent pay, and it's not going to happen. But he's not going to do anything at Leicester, clearly. He's just going to sit. He's not even going to sit on the bench for us, really. So what's the point in holding out for 20? Might as well sell him for 15 million.
Again, it's just about
getting a new player in.
For me, it's just about getting the players out the door now. Again,
but we're not doing that. We're still being a bit naive.
We've finally heard a bit about. We've finally heard a bit of information about Christensen.
But that's it.
No, I do know that. I do know that. But like now, if someone like Akgun does come in, does that leave way for someone like somebody in the like a Albrighton? Does he go back out on loan?
No, Albrighton's not an issue. It's the players like Daka, Samari, Castagna, Christensen, the ones that are all on high wages. I mean, it is very bad business, by the way, from the club that we signed Christensen and Suter in January, and not even 8 months later, we're selling them and letting them go out on loan. Whoever's brought them into the club, and I think we all know it was Brendan Rodgers that brought those 2 players into the club. An absolute muppet of a manager to bring them in, and clearly not good enough. I think that does show why we got relegated, really. Is it so much bad decisions last season that 2 new signings that have been here less than a year are off again, the first sight of, because they're not good enough.
Yeah, I don't know how to say your name, but before we do finish, if you could give us a bit of information on Akgun from what you've known of. If you are a Galatasaray fan, then please let us know very quickly before we do end the stream. John Towers says Christensen's seen leaving is a shame. Not him that needs to go. I probably agree, but it's because
who else goes though?
No, but it's because of the style we're playing. He just doesn't fit.
Who else goes though in the left back, Rob? Because we've obviously seen.
I think Thomas needs to go out alone.
But again,
I think JJ
isn't on high wages. Thomas isn't on high wages at Leicester. I think Thomas is on about 15, 20 grand a week. Where Christensen's on about 80.
I don't think it's just as much as the wages. I think
it is the wages.
Because certain players just don't fit the style, so they probably do need to leave.
I know he doesn't fit the style, but he's only going out on loan to reduce the wage bill. We've got too many players where we want to bring in. That's why we're bringing in so many loans, really, so we don't actually have to pay for them.
Like Dean says there, I think it's just not good enough for Enzo's style, which I completely agree. And that's not, for me, you can't blame Rodgers for that because we didn't know what the style was going to be going forward. But these players, like say Suter, he's not had a look in. So someone like Vestergaard's got over him, and that's because of how he plays.
I wouldn't even say Suter was a bad signing.
No, I'm not saying it is a bad signing. I'm not saying it's because of the style we're playing now.
I think he would still do all right in the style we're playing, to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure. I think if you ask me, I think Vestergaard probably would get dropped out as soon as Cody's fit.
I don't think he will.
I think you'll be surprised. I think out of everyone,
if you're winning 8 to 10 games when he gets back in, I don't think he gets shoved straight back out of the squad.
I think he does get into the team fairly quickly, and someone has got to come out. And I'm not saying Vestergaard necessarily deserves it. If you ask me, the player that has been probably not 100% in the game would be 5s for me.
Mm.
And I know he's looked decent in the last 2 games, but he's an international player that we signed to challenge for top 8 football last season, not for a championship fight. So his quality does show a bit, but it depends. His mentality, as we both saw against Cardiff, really was pretty poor. And anyway, it's not a bash fight show. It's more about Akgun, really. I think we'll end it pretty soon now. We're talking about new right winger at the club. Exciting times. Maybe a few more to come in to follow him. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll get 1 or 2 more in. I do think we'll see a few go out the door, like Ben does say here. Daka apparently on his way to Bournemouth, which again, for me, I think it's a good step up for him in a way because he's going to the Premier League, and I do think he might suit that style.
He needs game time somewhere. If he goes to Bournemouth for me and doesn't do anything, I think it does show that his quality isn't good. But if all the best to me. A bit like Vardy, really, we said Daka not really ever suited the way we wanted to play, and he's definitely still will not suit the way we want to play under Enzo because Iheanacho's the man to be put up there to hold the ball. So it's a shame that he didn't work out. But if we can get, at least gets, I know it's probably going to be a net negative of him when we sell him, but if we can get some money back and clear up FFP and bring in a new striker ready for Enzo style, I think that's what we're all wanting to see now, isn't it? Because like we said, we've had this conversation a few times. Players like Daka, Samari, they've been brought in, and clearly the style that Rodgers wanted to play was never going to suit them. But then why would Rodgers bring him in? But this is here or there in the Championship, and Enzo clearly knows what he wants. So fair enough. If Daka's not going to fit style, then let him go.
Yeah. Finally, this guy who is a Galatasaray fan says, he was really nice with Balotelli in Adana Demirspor 2 years ago, but last year not played so much. He tried to get 9 million, so cheap deal for you. So they're basically selling him because he's not good enough.
I think it's Galatasaray. They're in a different step up. He played last night. Akgun did I think for about 80 minutes in the Champions League qualifying match. So, and I think he did okay, to be honest with you.
He got an assist, though.
By the looks of it, I think he had an all right game. So I think he's just one of those players where Galatasaray said you're probably not 100% for his own. They've just brought in Zaha, so they know that. Excuse me. Zaha's going to be their new right winger for the season. That position, and Tete is obviously there. So it's only a loan deal, like we said, and no club really loses out on it. My only worry is he's got 25 games to prove himself, and I know that probably seems like a lot, but if he comes on off the bench for 10, 15 minutes, that counts as a game.
Yeah, completely agree. There you go, guys. Yunus Akgun will be signing for Leicester, hopefully, on a year loan contract. Get your views and comments in, as you already have. Just make sure to keep up with Leicester on TV for anything coming up. Me and Sam will be doing a match preview for the Rotherham game in the next couple of hours. So get tuned for that, and we'll catch you all on the next show. See you in a bit, guys.
When are we doing that?